Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing in the HWK-12 and I really don't even have a very good crew for this vehicle. The HWK-12 is a tier 8 German light tank that has one of the lowest win ratios of any tier 8 tank, let alone light vehicles. I think the reason why this vehicle falls back is not because of its scouting capacity, at least with regards to its view range. It's got 410 meters view range, which means that when you do have a decent crew and you've got coated optics, your view range is exceptional for a tier 8 light tank. I guess the problem is that everything else about the tank is just absolutely horrific. I guess apart from the alpha damage of 240, that's pretty hard hitting for a tier 8 tank. The issue is that your shell velocity on this tank is 630 on your standard rounds, 630 on your gold rounds, and get this, 338 meters a second. That is kind of like an artillery shell with the high explosive rounds on this tank. Combine that with no armor, a big profile, and not exactly the best gun handling and damage per minute, and the HWK-12 is just simply outclassed by such a large number of premium tanks that I don't think there's really a reason to play this. Nevertheless, just because we're playing a lackluster vehicle doesn't mean that we have to play it in a lackluster fashion. And so I'm trying to get to the front of this map and try and be able to spot for all of the usual mediums and light tanks that are situated behind me. Unfortunately for me, even though we have 4 tank destroyers in this game, none of them have actually come towards the south of this map, and so I'm not really spotting for any big guns. Oh, never mind. There's a Borask there, and considering that's effectively a big gun with an 2-round autoloader, yeah, maybe that'll be able to help me out. So the Borask behind me managed to get a shell into the Scorpion G, and right now I'm just absolutely nervous. I'm really hoping that the enemy team don't get the idea that they might be outnumbering us 2 or 3 to 1 on this flank, as there are 4 vehicles up on the hill that we've spotted and an ELC even 90, and only myself and a Borask holding them back. So in this situation, it's just about using the bush to try and keep as much view range for your team as possible. I don't really want to get spotted in this scenario, but when I fall back behind the bush, I can shoot through the bush without getting spotted. And I'm just praying, come on, Mr. Borask, please remove the ELC even 90, because if we can take down the vision of the enemy team, we might be able to dissuade them from making that advancing play. So we're defending against an assault here on the Ghost Town map. And this map, it's really kind of like a 50-50 as to whether you should try and hold the north or the south. I personally prefer to play the south, and just to interrupt that line of thought, yeah, even more tanks keep getting spotted up on this hill. There are now, I believe, 6 vehicles up there. Now, I change my ammunition type from an armor-piercing round to a high-explosive anti-tank round there, and that's because I'm shooting it at a Stridsvagn S1. It has 30mm of all-round armor. My armor-piercing shells are always going to ricochet against the well-angled Swedish TD, but my high-explosive anti-tank rounds, they can penetrate up to 85 degrees of angled armor, so against Swedish tank destroyers, they're actually better than armor-piercing rounds, at least unless they've got some kind of a spaced heat shield, like on the Stridsvagn 103B. So I'm really chuffed with how this game has been going, but finally the enemy team realized, well, we've got to make a push. Luckily for me, however, I'm getting quite fortunate with where my shells are going, and I've managed to do 1,700 damage in the first 4 minutes of this game, and I'm just, come on Borask, thank you, buddy. Oh no, disaster strikes. As my shot goes wayward, I get spotted, and I take a double tap from the enemy team. Now, I was worried that the ELC even 90 was going to make their way around here, but they are not to be found. And luckily for me, the CS-53, which, spoilers, I believe does have the worst win ratio of any tier 8 tank, I think, except possibly for the Kanonen Jagdpanzer with the 90mm. Comes around the corner, definitely rushed that situation, although they probably didn't think that I would be so far around through the ravine and the dip. Oh, lovely shot there into the FV4202, who luckily for me is not advancing with all the TDs. Right now, I'm just trying to sneak my way back up into this bush to see if I can manage to find the tank destroyers, but my sixth sense goes off, and that's bizarre. Okay, now you see me looking to my right, and that's because I reckon the ELC even 90 has to be sitting in this bush, or possibly even this bush. It's almost impossible to find those cheeky French light tanks. And I see I'm aiming up at the bush as I go back up. I ping the map to let my team know that something fishy's going on here. I blind fire at the bush and I get spotted again. And considering that the AMX AC-48 just killed our Boras, that means that the ELC EV-90 must be doing some good spotting here. So I'm going to try and poke up from a different angle here and hopefully find the ELC. And they've actually come forward to try and get above me, and pressure shot. If I miss this, his 2-round autoloader is probably going to be able to finish us off. But we connect a shot into the turret of the ELC EV-90, but we don't have time to celebrate that clutch shell into the Tier 8 French premium light tank, as we now have we were the plug that was kind of stealing off this wave of vehicles that were approaching from the western flank. And in this situation, I'm just wondering what's going on. If you look at the health bars at the top of the screen, we're only down by 2,000 hit points. But where are all of my tanks? And oh dear, as I get into render distance of the other side of the map, I quickly establish just where all of our hit points have been hiding. That's right. We've got ourselves 4 tank destroyers all situated in the same spot, and they couldn't have managed to kill these vehicles. So I believe all they've managed to do so far, right up until they managed to hopefully finish off this STA-2. Oh, come on, boys. Come on, boys. Oh, come on, boys. Please. Boys, please. Boys, this is what you've been waiting for the whole game. Please put the shots in. Oh, dear. Yeah, this was a pretty outrageous scenario. Okay, complete madness seems to be happening towards the latter stages of this game of World of Tanks. We have to hold on for another 3 minutes against the enemy assault. I'm getting some vision on the AMX, some vision on the STA-2, some vision on the 703, and I'm just begging these players to shoot for us. The M4043 says 4 useless idiots. No, look, they're not useless idiots. We will make them useful. All it requires is a very sneaky and rather sweaty German light tank to be able to sit into a bush. And just how much closer is this French tank destroyer going to have to get towards me? A shell comes from one of our 4 TDs. A second shell comes from one of our 4 TDs, but only manages to track the AMX AC-48. Now another contender appears in the form of what looks to be a stock Tiger II. Come on, boys, you can get some shots, and oh dear, the pesky artillery managing to stun 2 vehicles and shave off a couple of 100 hit points off each of them. The FV-4202 now, who was up on top of the hill, is making a brave push forwards to try and dig out the CS-53, and the S1 on the enemy team shuts down our AC-48. But finally, the AMX AC-48 on the enemy team overexposed their side to be able to get the CS-53, and our team is now starting to open up on the French tank destroyer. Now, with 2 minutes left on the game, I'm starting to get nervous. This one's starting to get a little close, and I was thinking, do I just have to hide in a bush for 2 minutes and then hopefully get myself a Kolobanos medal against the enemy team? What is going to happen remains to be seen in this replay, but it is definitely heating up. The enemy team rushing towards the tank destroyers, probably not realizing that they've been spotted for the last 4 minutes of this round. The AC-48 still not being shut down, only being tracked. And right now I'm thinking, do I have to kill the vehicles myself? Is it going to have to come down to me to be able to win this battle? Okay, so in this situation I was thinking, okay, 7032 must be inside the cap circle, SU-101 over there. So I can just drive round, hopefully finish off the 48, while the vehicles towards my north are now distracted. And now hopefully big pressure moment here. Can we get a shot into the 703? It ricochets! Come on, I've got to dig these vehicles out. But luckily, I'm in a dip where hopefully the vehicles in the cap circle aren't going to be able to get clean shots at me. And that's because I'm also no longer spotted. Now with a minute left on the game, a shot goes into the FV-4202. And oh my good lord, as if this game could not have got any more stupid, the artillery is going TD mode against me. What? Just absolute madness continues all the way through this battle. Why is there an artillery scouting me in my sneaky location? What beautiful play by the enemy's self-propelled gun. And even though our Borsig holds on with 137 hit points and 28 seconds to go, they were unable to be able to finish off the remaining tanks. The enemies cap out and take down just an utter ridiculous game of World of Tanks. And just take a look at this graveyard in the corner of the map. I'm going to be calling this the corner of confusion. Oh dear. I just wish that my TDs had got a couple more shots against the enemy vehicles. I guess they couldn't miss in close quarters combat, right? So unfortunately for us, despite our best efforts to be able to provide as much vision for the team as possible, they were unable to hit the targets that we were spotting, so we don't get a recon medal, and no battle hero medal means no bonus experience, and no bonus experience means that our 813 base does not go up to a point where we could have got an ace tanker for a defeat. But still, to get a second class in a defeat is not a bad effort considering just how abysmal the HWK-12 is, at least with regards to its win ratio. And for everybody who ends up playing this tank as well, yeah, with a lot of the statistics of the tank. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, hope you enjoyed this silly video today. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching it as it goes live on Friday, I'm going to be streaming all weekend. And also, if you're on the European server and you're taking part in this Tank Wars events to try and get the 3 days of premium, then I'm going to have drops enabled throughout to try and get you a little bit extra, 25 points to be exact. So hopefully you can get a whole weekend of premium time. If, of course, you've been playing a little bit during the week as well in the tanks. Either way, have a fabulous weekend, whatever you choose to get up to. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.